This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, a scrappy yellow-eyed penguin has tussled with sharks 3 times in the past few years and has lived to squawk the tail. Witnesses say a man involved in a shooting incident in Christchurch allegedly opened fire at police without hesitation. And Highlanders forward Elliot Dixon says players with international flexibility in their contracts are more loyal to New Zealand. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Sophie Morris. A scrappy yellow-eyed penguin has tussled with sharks 3 times in the past few years and has lived to squawk the tail. Veterinarians at the Dunedin Wildlife Hospital recently operated on the feisty hoi-ho known as Crystal for the 3rd time in 3 years.
Back for more surgery in a familiar place. This yellow-eyed penguin named Crystal has returned to Dunedin's Wildlife Hospital after surviving a shark attack for the 3rd time.
She came through as a juvenile, which meant she was 1 year old in 2017, and she had taken on a shark, so we patched her up, fixed her, and sent her back to the wild via Penguin Place.
But a year later, the same penguin was brought in again after being found with a more severe shark bite.
We got Crystal through again, so we're like, oh, hey, seeing our old friend again, and this time she had a really big wound, which took quite a few surgeries to repair. She sort of tackled the shark again, but survived, and we patched her up, multiple surgeries that time, and yet again, by Penguin Place, we released her and, had a bit of a yarn with her about trying to avoid sharks and not be so sassy. And then, last week we were told, oh, Crystal, which is quite amusing.
She says the positive thing about a penguin returning to the hospital is it proves many of the repaired animals go on to survive in the wild.
For us, it's just really good to know that this bird has survived, which means that many other birds that we're fixing are surviving out there.
The hospital is busy at the moment looking after other injured animals, as well as hand-rearing 25 kakapo chicks.
Just really privileged to be able to provide veterinary support for such amazing animals, and we've got a hospital full of some amazing animals at the moment, which is awesome, which is why we do this work.
As for Crystal, she's likely to be spending up to a month in rehab. In Dunedin, for the South Today.
A man involved in a dramatic shooting incident in Christchurch is said to have allegedly opened fire at police confidently and without hesitation. Police say the incident started after a shotgun-wielding man failed to stop for police at around 7:30 p.m. The vehicle was spiked and came to a stop before the man presented a firearm and shot at police, as shown in this video. Police returned fire and the offender was shot in the lower body. He was taken to Christchurch Hospital with serious injuries and remains in a serious condition under armed guard. A witness says the offender was confident in intent and believes police were justified in returning fire. An Oamaru man has been sentenced to 4 months home detention over the hit-and-run death of 14-year-old Zara Blackie in October last year. He was also ordered to pay $4,000 reparation to Zara's family. 30-year-old Joshua John Chalu pleaded guilty to 1 charge of failing to stop and assert an injury after he hit Zara with his car in Oamaru in October last year. Fire crews have contained a blaze in a forestry block near Milton this morning. At its height, up to 4 helicopters, 2 appliances and 1 tanker were called in to put out the fire in a block of established trees off Coal Gully Roads. The pine plantation is owned by construction company Calder Stewart. Fire crews stopped the 1 hectare fire from spreading to the west by about 8:30 this morning. Crews from as far away as Dunedin had been called in and they expected to have the fire fully out by this afternoon. Highlanders loose forward Elliot Dixon says allowing players to earn their yen in the Super Rugby off-season will keep more players in New Zealand. Dixon has just returned home from a stint in Japan and a deal that's enabled him to keep playing down south.
Back in familiar territory, Highlanders loose forward Elliot Dixon training in Dunedin ahead of Friday night's Super Rugby match against the Rebels in Melbourne. He's just returned from a season in Japan after almost signing a deal in Europe.
I was just about to head off, but a wee little deal with Rico, which was awesome to get me to come back as well, so that kind of kept me in New Zealand.
And while the Japanese deal kept him in the country, he says it's becoming an increasingly popular option for other Kiwi players as well.
So I think it's a good option for New Zealanders to go and try something different if they've been there for a few years and then come back refreshed and ready to go again.
Dixon's certainly had a chance to recharge the batteries. The franchise gave him some time off when he returned to the south, making him unavailable for the first 2 weeks of the competition.
I think we had a really good plan coming back in, so I didn't have much break, so I came back in late January, straight with the team. And then they gave me 2 weeks off, so I was unavailable for selection up until the Rebels week.
The Highlanders have taken a similar approach with the other 3 players in the squad returning from Japan as a way to guard against burnout. As for the quality of the rugby, Dixon says it's somewhere between the Super competition and the Mitre 10 Cup.
Probably pace of Super Rugby, but physicality a little bit down from Super Rugby, so it's just trying to make that step up now into Super Rugby now.
His first test coming on Friday night when he tries to help his team go 3-0 to start the season. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. A ute travels the South Island to honour those lost to suicide.
ID Dunedin Fashion Week is celebrating 20 years and you're invited to the show. One amazing show, 2 nights, Friday 15 and Saturday 16 March at Dunedin's Regent Theatre. The show features ID International Emerging Designer Awards and a runway show from 16 of New Zealand's leading established designers. Tickets are available from Ticket Direct. Grab a group of friends and book today. All the details, www.idfashion.co.nz.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489 2274.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
Need to rent an EFTPOS? Whether it's just a week or the whole season, maybe a pop-up store, a concert or event, Anything's POS have equipment available to suit your needs for retail and hospitality with local support. To rent, lease or buy, contact Anything's POS.
Every Kiwi deserves a reliable garage door. Rely on Garrador to protect your important stuff. Just like Darren, his Garrador keeps his favourite ride in mint condition. We have a huge range at affordable prices. Visit our website for a free consultation. We stand behind every door.
Don't suffer in silence. Call Sunny Chin, Chi Master Body Technician for structural, muscular, emotional bodywork. Phone 03 4250 606 for all your pain relief.
Blimey! At Alex Campbell Menswear, they've got too much great stock. There is 50% off the lot. And Lindsay's decided to extend the sale only until March the 3rd at 4 p.m.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
At the Hard to Find Bookshop, we sell quality books on all subjects from the rare to the recent, and where viable, we will come to you. We have a great reputation for integrity and honesty, so if you're downsizing or sorting an estate and have books to sell, contact us.
Don't miss the Otago Home Show at the Edgar Centre, 1st, 2nd, 3rd of March, where home lovers go shopping.
Welcome back. Keith Cooper has been named as the new chairman of both Dunedin City Holdings and Dunedin City Treasury Limited. He replaces former DCHL chairman Graham Crombie, who died earlier this month. Cooper is a former chief executive of Silver Fern Farms and an experienced company director. He says he's honoured to be appointed to the roles and to continue the work started by Crombie. DCHL is the parent company for the council-owned companies, and DCTL provides funding and financial services to the group. The names of more than 400 Kiwis lost to suicide have been written with black marker pen all over a ute touring the South Island. Wata Keating bought his 1990 Mazda ute as a living memorial for those left behind to express their grief and honour loved ones without shame or judgment.
As a child, grew up in DSW Care. For those that don't know, it's Department of Social Welfare. Got shipped around, there wasn't really any stability, got beaten, got sexually abused, about 13, 14. And through that I had 4 attempts on my own life, and as a result I got an extensive criminal history, drug addiction past, the whole works, and no, I'm not proud of it. Those things you never forget. It's just you learn that, yeah, that was a bad part, that shouldn't have happened. And the one word people hate is you have to forgive. You actually have to forgive your abuser. I think, yeah, you get chucked shit in life, but end of the day it depends on whether you stay angry or you forgive it and let it go. So, well, actually, I'm not letting this control me anymore. It took me until I was 40 to actually get a grip on my life. The people's ute. What it is an opportunity for those to put their loved ones' names who have been lost by suicide on the ute, so they're not a number, they're not a stat, they actually are someone's loved one. We have to smash the stigma around it, and this has opened a conversation across New Zealand. I started in Christchurch. I drove from here to Taranaki, worked all the way up to Waitangi, and just allow people to write their loved ones' names on the ute, talk to people. I tend to want to get to the smaller towns because they're often the ones that are most forgotten. The very first name that went on the ute was my own brother's. Last memory was shaking his hand, thinking, yeah, we've got hope to heal the past. But sadly that wasn't to be. It was destroying. That's the only word for it. I can't point out the name, but there is a 12-year-old girl on here that was sexually abused. That was pretty horrific, that whole story. I went to the supermarket, as quite often happens. There's a guy and his wife standing around it pretty much crying, and he added his brother's name and then called his daughter out, and she added this girl's name, and then as I went round, people have told me the story behind it. I've had plenty of tears over this ute. That's why quite often, even if I got offers of accommodation, I choose to sleep in the ute, because that gives me my downtime, my process time, and a lot of these subjects I've actually lived through, dealt with myself. The stage I'm at now is, if I have something pop up, I know how to reach out. I have support systems in place. I have people I can go to. And for people needing help, I actually have. Part of doing this is you have to make sure the people you talk to are safe. And I promote 1737 because they're trained counsellors. They can actually talk to them. They got resources, they got outreach, and so it's about, yeah, don't try and do it yourself, you need supports behind it. This week, go to Timaru, going to do the tour of the South Island.
After the break on the South Today, McAndrew Bay pupils learn how to take an artistic selfie, and we check out tomorrow's weather.
Don't miss the Otago Home Show at the Edgar Centre, 1st, 2nd, 3rd of March, where home lovers go shopping.
Dunedin Beds R Us are having a stock clearance sale during the month of February. Up to 50% off New Zealand-made sleepyhead beds. Come see Ricky and the team at 505 Princess Street, next to Armstrong Prestige. Plenty of parking.
Most of us have spots on our skin. That's quite normal. Finding skin cancer as early as possible is key to successful treatment. Book in for a free check of 1 to 2 moles or a comprehensive full body check with the Mole Doctor in Waverley.
Green Island Medical Centre have 2 late night clinics. We are now open on a Tuesday and Thursday night until 7 p.m. with doctor and nurse appointments available. Phone us on 488 2754 to make a booking or to find out more information.
Need to rent an FPOS? Whether it's just a week or the whole season, maybe a pop-up store, a concert or event, Anything's POS have equipment available to suit your needs for retail and hospitality with local support. To rent, lease or buy, contact Anything's POS.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Blimey! At Alex Campbell Menswear, they've got too much great stock. There is 50% off the lot. And Lindsay's decided to extend the sale only until March the 3rd at 4 p.m.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
ID Dunedin Fashion Week is celebrating 20 years and you're invited to the show. One amazing show, 2 nights, Friday 15 and Saturday 16 March at Dunedin's Regent Theatre. The show features ID International Emerging Designer Awards and a runway show from 16 of New Zealand's leading established designers. Tickets are available from Ticket Direct. Grab a group of friends and book today. All the details, www.idfashion.co.nz.
Welcome back. New Zealand singer-songwriter Marlon Williams is now set to open for the Eagles in Dunedin this weekend after John Farnham was pulled out with health complications. Promoters say the Australian singer has been hospitalised with a severe infection after having minor surgery 2 weeks ago. He was expected to make a full recovery, but due to doctors' orders, isn't able to play upcoming dates as scheduled for New Zealand. Promoters say Williams and his band were on a scheduled night off this Saturday on their nationwide tour, but have taken up the opportunity to open for the Eagles. Pupils at Dunedin's McAndrew Bay School spent much of last week using modern technology to reinvent an old school selfie. A Dunedin artist spent the week with the school guiding pupils and staff on how to take a selfie and make it a self-portrait and not to take one's image too seriously.
An old school selfie. The work of McAndrew Bay School pupils and staff from a recent art session, where Dunedin artist Sarah Flourish shared her considerable experience in taking raw selfies and creating art from the pictures.
And a couple of years ago I saw Sarah's marvellous exhibition called Covering My Bases, and just knew this would be a great project if we could get her to come in and work with our kids, and she's just done an amazing job.
Newlands says in previous years the children's art has been displayed at the school, but this year she's pleased the exhibition is at Bellamy's Gallery.
And the fact that the children have been able to have their work displayed in Bellamy's Gallery is just, again, taking it to that next level.
Artist and Bellamy's staffer Manu Berry helped the pupils hang the work and says they knew exactly where they wanted pictures to go, so it wasn't a problem.
It actually went up pretty quickly. The kids did all the placement. There were 3 or 4 of them helping, so they were just placing and I was just nailing. So they chose all the places and it came together in maybe an hour and a half.
He says it's unusual to have an exhibition of mostly children's art and is pleased with the vibrant nature of the work. 3 of the young artists were on hand at the gallery to discuss their work and all say they loved the experience, learning a lot about painting and themselves in the process.
I kind of tried to make it as natural as possible. I kind of got inspired by my friend Zoe's, whose painting is this one. I really enjoyed the experience and I really want to do it again. Well, I did have a frog face, but it turned out not that well. But I was also thinking about like Lake Middleton, and there's lots of trees and there's a big lake.
I just drew over my face with carbon paper, and I figured it looked a lot like an 80s pop star, and I just went with that flow and added a mic and made a blue necklace and added a spider that sort of looks like a splodge. And also because we had filters, I had little birds flying around my head, which have turned out to look a lot like flying hamsters, red and blue.
The exhibition is on display at Bellamy's Gallery for a week or so. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Crystal, the feisty yellow-eyed penguin, has tussled with sharks 3 times in the past few years and has lived to squawk the tail thanks to the Dunedin Wildlife Hospital. A man involved in a dramatic shooting incident in Christchurch is said to have allegedly opened fire at police confidently and without hesitation. And Highlanders loose forward Elliot Dixon says allowing players to earn their yen in the Super Rugby off-season will keep more players in New Zealand. And time now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Hayden.
Hello, Sophie. How are you this evening?
Good, thank you.
Let's start with 2 subjects very close to my heart. Sport and Oamaru.
Right.
What else do we need? Tomorrow's ODT, we'll have a little bit of both. It's the New Zealand Open Golf, of course, and I know you're a passionate golf fan, Sophie, so you'll be following with interest. That starts tomorrow, but today we had the Par 3 competition, a really neat development at the Hills, much like the Masters at Augusta. We have a Par 3 tournament the day before the full tournament starts. Lovely story. So Bob Charles got a hole-in-one on the very last hole on that, so that's pretty cool. Steve Hepburn, our sports editor, is up at the golf. Darn him, I'd rather be there, but I'm here. So we'll have lots of coverage looking ahead to the tournament. And let's face it, we all hope a Ryan Fox or a Michael Hendry or a Kiwi wins it.
Yes.
Up in Oamaru, very powerful story about the mother, the sentencing of a man following the death of a teenage girl in a hit and run, and the interaction between that man and the mother. Very powerful, interesting court story, which I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy reading tomorrow. Back in Dunedin, we've got a couple of stories about Dunedin refugees. So Dunedin's preparing to welcome some more refugees from Afghanistan this time. And we've got a lovely story about a Syrian refugee who arrived in Dunedin a year ago, loves the city, settled nicely, and is now going to work in a support role with new refugees, which I think kind of sums up the whole refugee experience and the Dunedin experience really, really well. And finally, an interesting little story, a Dunedin teenager on a bit of a crusade to get equal pay for men and women. I think 13 years old this girl is, setting her sights really high, and something I think we all agree should happen sooner rather than later, Sophie, to get rid of the gender pay gap.
Right, well thank you, Hayden. All of that and more in tomorrow's ODT. And time now for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with tonight's southern view of trains at Dunedin Railway Station. Looking at the situation, a cold day tomorrow with southwesterlies easing, cool winds picking up again on Friday as a weak front passes by. It's looking good for a fine and mild weekend. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect a sunny day with 19-degree highs. Across to the northeast, Nelson and Blenheim are set for bright blue skies and a high temperature of 21 degrees. In Canterbury, a slightly cloudy day, a 17-degree high for Kaikoura, 16 for Christchurch and Ashburton. In the southern towns, moderate southwesterlies, some cloud with the Catlins heading for 14, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore all heading for 15-degree highs. Heading westwards to the Central Lakes, light southwesterlies and fine conditions. Wanaka, Alexandra and Queenstown are heading for 18, while Te Anau should expect strong southwesterlies, showers and a high of 14 degrees. To the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru can expect moderate southwesterlies, some cloud with 15 degrees as the high. Twizel and Amarama are due to have light southwesterlies, fine weather and highs of 18 degrees. In Dunedin, strong cold southwesterlies tonight with cloudy skies, an overnight low of 8. Mostly cloudy and cold tomorrow with breezy southwesterlies slowly decreasing. A high of 13 degrees and an overnight low of 8. A little milder on Friday with sunny periods but southwesterlies freshening during the afternoon with some low clouds, looking at a high of 16 and a low of 10 degrees. And in Invercargill, showers tonight with strong cold southwesterlies, an overnight low of 8 degrees. Showers clearing and sunny periods increasing during the day tomorrow with cold southwesterlies easing slowly. Aiming for a high of 13 and a low of 6. A period of cloud and showers early Friday with gusty cold southwesterlies, but clearing during the afternoon with sunny periods increasing and winds easing. Looking at a high of 12 degrees and a low of 9. That's all for our news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.